Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So this video will cover all of the first week observations I've made alongside some general changes I made to the ecosphere throughout the week. To start, I instantly hooked up my microscope and took as many shots as I could of the ecosphere prior to me altering its composition in any way. As mentioned previously, the sample came from Mono Lake, a body of water with such a high pH that pretty much zero fish were able to survive. However, there were apparently some really resistant bacteria that managed to thrive in the environment. I predicted that there would be no visible microorganisms, so it was finally time to check out if I was right or not. So even here, I think it's pretty noticeable, at least compared to my prior ecospheres, that there's really no microorganisms I can really see. Even right now on the screen, I thought that was a microorganism. Turns out it was just a little piece of bark or some wood that was just floating around. I'm not really sure why there's like absolutely no organisms at all. As I mentioned beforehand, there was some bacteria found within Mono Lake that has evolved for centuries upon centuries and has managed to survive somehow. But evidently, looks like microorganisms still haven't made that leap. After seeing that there was really no microorganisms, I decided to add some more water as well as a mud sample to the ecosphere, hopefully to kind of stimulate some microorganisms if there were any actually in the ecosphere. Right here, I'm in the process of adding it. This was halfway through the week, and I wondered if doing so would actually alter what I would end up seeing within the ecosphere. After I added the water, I made sure to mix the ecosphere pretty slowly and just allow it to sit for a couple hours because I wanted to make sure that if there were any microorganisms that actually did pop up all of a sudden, that they weren't just like floating around randomly because the ecosphere itself had been shaken up. I mean, even here right now, this was just the ecosphere kind of settling down right after I added the mixture of mud as well as water. As you can see, there is a ton of mud just that's floating down straight to the bottom. I'm hoping that it kind of adds to the sediment that was already present within the ecosphere because, as mentioned beforehand, that sediment was very, very organic and some kind of green material. I'm not sure what it was. So maybe by adding some more mud and adding a more, I guess, strengthened base, maybe more microorganisms will be able to actually thrive. Here's a couple of hours later. As you can see, the whole ecosphere has become kind of muddy. So a couple hours later, as well as a couple of days, that's kind of the process of taking these shots. I came back and I instantly saw some changes even within the microscope. For one, the color of the water had become much less tinted and actually cleared up a bit. This indicated to me that the composition of the water was definitely altered in the sense that whatever was present beforehand, likely high concentrations of arsenic and such, it had become pretty diluted, and maybe there's a chance that there would be different organisms popping up here and there. So yeah, I decided to hook up my microscope and see if anything had changed. Instantly, there's a lot more of that organic kind of film that's sticking to these pieces of sediment and mud. So that indicated to me that whatever that film, that mucus kind of thing was, it must be some kind of organic material, and it must be something that feeds off of maybe other organic material and pulls from nutrients that's present within the soil, because it instantly latched on to pretty much anything that had even the smallest bit of nutrition that it could, I guess, pull from. Alternatively, it could be a form of moss or some kind of algae. I've had videos in the past showcasing how variable algae could be, as well as how easily it can spread throughout ecospheres. Here, I'm trying to determine if there's any copepods, daphnia, whatever, that are just floating on the surface. In prior ecospheres, it's been really easy to see them, fluttering about and whatnot. But here, it's pretty clear that there really just is no microorganisms present at all. I'm not sure why it's been so hard for me to even spot, like, the little microorganisms. Like, usually you find at least something. But I guess the composition of the water here is just so tough and so inhabitable that common microorganisms, even hydro, which are really resilient and able to survive for years upon years, they're still not visible here. Regardless, hopefully next week has way more organisms for me to see and observe. And yeah, Thanks for watching.